Well, welcome to Whispers of History, where the past speaks softly and never rushes. As if you're here for thunderous battles, scandalous kings, or yelling historians, you've taken a very wrong turn. But if you want to drift off to a slow unraveling of curious truths, soft footsteps through forgotten streets, and bells that only chime when nobody's listening, well, you're in the right place. Before we begin, a gentle reminder to like and subscribe if your eyelids haven't closed just yet, as it helps this sleepy little corner of the internet keep whispering. And if you're still awake enough to comment, let us know your local time and where you're listening from. Now let's ease into tonight's journey. You're not sure where the sound is coming from. It's faint, like it's woven into the breeze. A bell maybe, not one that clangs or commands attention. This one hums. Like it doesn't care if you hear it. Like it's meant to be heard only by accident. You're standing in a narrow alley that's far older than it looks. As at first glance, it could be any quiet passageway in an old town. Cobblestones, moss where cobblestones gave up. The scent of damp earth, burned incense, and a cat who's probably seen things. But there's something else. Some strange ache in the air, the kind that suggests something very old is just barely still alive. Now the year is approximately 1674. The place, somewhere between fact and memory. You're in the temple quarter of Nara, Japan, or what's left of it. The monks are mostly asleep now, except for one. He's sitting in the inner courtyard, pretending to meditate but sneakily watching the fireflies. This is the land of the wooden fish drum and the temple bell, or massive bronze bells cast with dragon's breath and patience, meant to resonate through mountains. But the one you're hearing, it's not one of those. No, this one's smaller, stranger, tucked in the upper reaches of a little prayer tower where no monk dares climb at night. They say this bell only rings when no one's listening. Which honestly sounds like the kind of temple prank an apprentice monk would make up just to mess with you. Still, it keeps chiming. There's a theory that this bell, let's call it the whisper bell, wasn't even meant for human ears. Carved with characters that don't match any temple record, forged from metals no one admits to owning. One scroll suggests it was brought here by a monk from the islands, who claimed it sang only for the dead. But of course, scholars are still debating whether that monk existed. He might have been real or poetic, or just really bad at metallurgy. You step past a wall where the plaster peels in gentle curls, like the building is quietly sighing. Overhead, the clouds drift like soft wails, their bellies painted with moonlight. It's late, you should probably be sleeping. But something keeps drawing you forward. You pass a carved stone lantern, its light long since extinguished, and come to a low gate. This one bears no name, only the faded carving of a lotus with a single drooping petal. You duck your head and step through. Is inside the courtyard no one uses anymore. There's a statue of here, the Bodhisattva of compassion, but her nose has been worn off by 3 centuries of curious pigeons. The trees lean in like gossiping aunties. The gravel crunches like it's apologizing. You pause, there it is again. That soft single bell tone, distant but precise. It's the kind of sound that makes you second guess whether you really heard it. Like with acoustics. Now let's not pretend you're here on purpose. You were supposed to meet a guide he never showed. Which in temple towns is just code for, he found a tea house and forgot you exist. But here you are, surrounded by a silence so thick it presses on your skin. And the sound of a bell no one admits to ringing. You said, not for enlightenment. Just because the stone bench looks surprisingly clean. And also so you're kind of stalling. The air is warm, the insects buzz in a low, hypnotic chorus. And then very faintly, as if behind the veil of time you hear laughter. Or wind, it's always wind, very convenient. Let's keep walking. The floorboards creak under your feet, which is rude of them, considering you're trying to be sneaky. You're inside a half-forgotten side hall now, one of those annexes that everyone insists is not really part of the temple, whenever something inconvenient happens there. Though the architecture is classically Edo period. That means sliding doors, tatami mats, and ceilings low enough to give tall people trust issues. You brush aside a silken curtain embroidered with cranes, and the room before you opens like a whispered secret. Now this was once the study of a scholar monk named. He was known for 3 things: calligraphy, strong opinions about sandalwood, and disappearing mysteriously one autumn afternoon. He left behind 37 scrolls, a cryptic poem about rain, and according to temple gossip, a feral raccoon he had trained to meditate. As of course, no one found the raccoon either. Historians remain divided on whether it existed, or if was just really lonely. On the shelves, you find books that haven't been read since before electricity became fashionable. One has a diagram of temple acoustics. Another discusses the art of the way of incense. There's even a faded ledger with listings of bell tolls. How many, how loud, what they were for. Curiously, some entries are marked unheard. What's that supposed to mean? Bells that weren't heard, bells that rang spiritually, bells that rang because someone dropped them. Though the scholar had theories. One of them, that certain bells were tuned not just to sound but to intention. That the resonance wasn't just a physical vibration, but a spiritual one, meant to reach the innermost places of the self. You know classic monk stuff. Though the sound of the bell comes again. Though this time it's closer. Not menacing, just precise, like it's keeping track of your heartbeat. As outside the window, a heron lifts off the edge of a koi pond and flaps into the dark, indifferent as ever to your spiritual adventure. Now you notice a slip of parchment wedged under ink stone. It's written in a firm, looping hand. As if you listen too hard, you'll never hear it. How comforting. Now the air shifts, the curtain behind you stirs, though no wind passes. It's probably just old buildings doing old building things. Or possibly the raccoon. You decide it's time to move on. You slide the door open and step into another hallway, this one narrower, dimmer. The walls are lined with bells. So small ones, large ones, bronze and rusted, polished and silent. The one bell in particular catches your eye. It's suspended from a dragon's jaw with no visible clapper. Below it hangs a plaque that reads simply, "The Unheard Bells." You feel ridiculous, but you raise a hand and lightly tap the side. No sound. Love of course. Then, just as you turn away, the bell behind you rings. Not loudly, not defiantly, just once. Clear, soft, definite. You whip around. There's no one there. Even the air seems smug about it. And still, the echo of that chime seems to hang in the back of your skull. Not quite noise, not quite memory. You keep walking, because what else do you do? You're halfway convinced the whole temple is subtly laughing at you. And the worst part, it's doing it politely. The corridor ends at a staircase, wooden, narrow, leading upward into darkness. As a place where very few go. But the bell rang. So you go. The stairs are exactly what you expect them to be, steep, narrow, and gently hostile. They creak like they're trying to remember how to support weight. Dust clings to your fingers when you trail your hand along the rail, which might once have been polished wood, but now feels like it gave up sometime in the 1800s. Each step brings you further from the warm glow of candlelight below. The air turns cooler here, as if you're climbing not into an attic, but into time itself, some strange pocket where the temple forgets it has guests. When you reach the top, there's a landing, small, square, unimpressed by your effort. The one paper lantern hangs from a crooked hook. The light inside flickers nervously, like it, too, wants to leave. A door stands before you, painted red, but barely. The color clings in chipped flecks, exposing gray wood that seems older than the rest of the building. At eye level, someone has carved a symbol into the door. A circle, interrupted by 3 soft lines like waves or wind. You knock. Because of course you knock. Nothing happens. So you slide the door open and step into what feels like a forgotten world. This room is smaller than you expected, circular surprisingly. The walls curve around you, narrowing toward the ceiling like the inside of a shell. Books are stacked everywhere on the floor, on window sills, even inside what might be an old brazier, long since repurposed for storage. In the center, suspended from the rafters, is a bell. Not large, not small, just there. Bronze green with age, its surface covered in characters so worn they look more like whispers than words. You take a step forward and pause. The floor creaks, but softly, as if even the wood is trying not to disturb the bell. You're not sure what you expected. A secret chant. A disembodied voice telling you to seek the seventh scroll. Maybe a monk with a deep voice and a penchant for riddles. Zainob, just you. And the bell. The silence in this room is not empty. It hums like the air is listening. This is perhaps the strangest part. It feels like the bell knows you're here. Not in a haunted way, more in a finally someone turned uppy kind of way. You walk around it once, twice, eyes tracing the pattern of corrosion and old care. And then out of instinct, or maybe just because your hand decides for you, you reach out and touch it. It's cold, heavier than it looks, and absolutely still. But then the room shifts. Not literally, it just feels different, like someone flipped a switch in your bones. You hear something, not a bell, a voice. A woman's voice, distant, clear, singing. But not in any language you recognize. The melody lilts like a lullaby, folding in on itself, repeating as though it's been trapped in the bronze for centuries. And just like that, it stops. The silence returns, blank and unapologetic. While you look around, nothing's changed. Except you feel a little less alone, and just a little more confused. You sit, mostly because your knees have opinions about long staircases. In the far corner, there's a little wooden box. Inside, scraps of paper folded tightly. You pull one free and open it. On it, a single line. Listen, but never wait. The bell does not like audiences. Charming. You lean back against the wall. For the first time since arriving, you feel something close to peace. Not answers, just quiet. As outside the window, the sky has turned deep indigo. A few stars blink through like they're just clocking in for their night shift. You close your eyes for a moment. And the bell does not ring. All because you're listening. You're not sure how long you sat there, but eventually, gravity returns to its usual persuasive self. Your legs complain, your back mutters something rude, and the bell, predictably, remains aloof. You rise and stretch in a way that suggests you're trying to apologize to your spine. A quick look out the window tells you that night has fully arrived. The courtyard below is bathed in a soft, silvery haze. You can make out the shapes of rooftops, lanterns, and a small fox trotting confidently past the main gate like it owns the temple. It might. Before you leave, you take one last look at the bells. They're still silent, almost smug. You descend the staircase carefully. Not reverently, just cautiously, because you have a healthy respect for gravity and a deep aversion to historical lawsuits. Back in the hallway, something feels different. Not dramatically so, just shifted, like a story has moved forward a single sentence while you weren't looking. You retrace your steps past the row of silent bells. Only now you notice something new, soft strings tied around a few of them. Red silk frayed with age, not decorative, purposeful. One has a small tag hanging from it. You line ends. It says, for those who left without warning. Charming. You continue walking. Down the corridor, then into a wide chamber you somehow missed earlier. It opens like a throat, round and echoing. This is where the mane used to hang, you realize. There's a round impression in the ceiling from where it once suspended, but it's gone now. Stolen, moved, demoted. The temple records mention a bell that vanished in the mid-1800s, but no one agrees on how. Some say it cracked during an earthquake and was buried. Others whisper it was taken by foreign collectors. One delightful theory posits that it simply walked away one night. The historians are predictably divided. In its place, a new display. A low wooden stand with a single lacquered box and an inscription that reads, "The sound of a bell is not the bell itself. You must become the silence that hears it." Which, sure, sounds impressive, but also like the sort of thing someone says when they've lost your bell and don't want to admit it. You sit on a woven mat and let the room settle around you. There's something deeply restful about empty spaces. They carry the absence like a presence. This hall is heavy with memory, weddings, funerals, mourning rituals, late-night confessions to deities who never answered back. The air itself seems lined with reverence and dust. You lean back, arms behind you, and look up. The ceiling is painted in faded layers. Clouds, dragons, a flock of storks with one clearly painted as a goose, possibly an apprentice's first week. One of the storks is missing a wing entirely, like the artist gave up halfway and just said, the viewer gets the idea. And outside, another soft chime. Not a bell this time, wind through bamboo. But your ears are tuned now. Your body is listening. Not for a sound, but for its echo. And just as your eyes begin to droop, you remember the first bell you heard. The one you weren't listening to. You smile just a little. Maybe this whole temple is built on that paradox. The thing that rings only when you're not waiting for it. The knowledge that arrives when you've stopped trying to know. You yawn not for drama, just because this story is doing its job. The wind stirs again. No bell this time. Just the feelings that one might ring. Someday. You wake not sharply, not with a start, but like mist lifting from the surface of a still pond. For a moment, you forget where you are. There's the scent of old wood, the distant chirp of something nocturnal, and that low, full-bodied hush that only exists in very old places long after midnight. Though the temple isn't asleep, it's just watching. You're still in the main hall, though now the shadows have stretched and shifted. The paper screens cast silhouettes of branches that weren't moving earlier, and the candles have burned down to stubby little ghosts of themselves. You rise slowly, joints popping like dry rice. And that's when you notice it, a folded slip of paper tucked beside your mat. As it wasn't there before. It's not threatening, nothing in this place is, but it hums with intention. You unfold it. The handwriting is spare, vertical, and deliberate. It reads, I come to the archive when the moon reaches the second beam. You glance up. There are many beams in this hall. You pick one that feels second wide. The moonlight slices through a paper window, soft and silver. One long beam spills across the floorboards, and another just beneath it glows faintly, lining the edge of a raised threshold. You trust it, because why not? This far in, logic has started to feel like the least useful item in your metaphorical satchel. You move through the hall, avoiding the creaky boards not because you're sneaking, but out of courtesy. The archive is located behind a sliding panel decorated with a faded painting of chrysanthemums. You slide it open and are immediately greeted by a smell so dense with history it deserves its own passport. Old paper, dust, cedar, ink, a whisper of mildew that politely minds its business. The room is long and low, with rows of scroll shelves, bamboo ladders leaning like tired sentinels, and tatami mats worn down by generations of knees. As a single candle glows at the far end, and beside it, finally another human. She is old in the way trees are old. Gnarled and graceful, her spine curved like a crescent moon. Her robes are indigo-dyed and simple, but her eyes are bright and unbothered. She doesn't look surprised to see you. You took your time, she says, as if you've just arrived late to a very slow, very quiet dinner party. You apologize without words. She gestures for you to sit. I assume you've heard it. You nod. She smiles in a way that is not kind or unkind, just knowing. There is a record, she says, reaching behind her and drawing a scroll from a shelf, but it does not explain. She unrolls it with careful hands. The paper crackles like warm rain. You see diagrams, temple blueprints, circles within squares, a bell drawn again and again, each time slightly different. Some are marked with stars, others with question marks. In the 6th century, she begins, there was a temple that claimed to possess a bell that could only be heard by those who were about to die. She pauses. Very unpopular with tourists. You try not to laugh too loudly. No one could prove it, she continues. No one could disprove it. The bell remained always silent until someone wasn't looking. Another scroll appears. This one is older, torn at the corners. The characters are harder to read, as if the ink itself tried to hide. She points to one line: "Those who seek the sound shall be deaf to it. Those who wait shall be, but those who forget shall be chosen." You feel like you're being gently scolded by a 1,400-year-old haiku. As she closes the scroll, "There are temples like ours across Japan," she says. "Hidden ones, not by walls but by disinterest. Places no one bothers to visit anymore. Places where bells still wait to be forgotten again." Well, you ask if the bell is dangerous. She shrugs. Only if you try to make it do something. Bells are like people. They resent expectations. You thank her. She nods but does not say goodbye. Because you're not leaving yet. Back outside, the moon has risen higher, brushing the tops of the tiled roofs with light like powdered sugar. You stand for a moment in the open-air corridor, allowing the night to seep back into your bones. It's strange how this place has changed you, or maybe just slowed you down enough to notice what was always there. The silence here is a kind of music. Not the absence of sound, but a pattern of spaces where sound could be. Your fingers graze the edge of a nearby wind chime. It doesn't move. No breeze, not even curiosity. You step down into the gravel courtyard, the same courtyard you passed before. But now the stones seem arranged differently, not physically, just emotionally. There's a monk sweeping. At least you think it's a monk. The robes are right. The pace is too slow to be performative, but the sweeping is mostly decorative. The broom barely kisses the ground. You nod in greeting. The monk does not respond. Which is fair, it's late. Nobody likes small talk at 2:47 a.m., give or take. You make your way toward a smaller building tucked behind the bell tower. It looks like a garden shed that graduated into a temple annex. The door is unlocked, of course it is. Inside, shelves of bells, bells in boxes, bells wrapped in silk, bells paired with as though someone had been documenting their dreams. There's a logbook on a low table. You open it. The entries are simple. Bell 14 rang once, 3:22 a.m., no witnesses. Bell 3's silence, slight warmth to the metal, possible dream projection. Bell 7 chimed softly during a tea spill, noted but inconclusive. You find one entry near the middle that simply says, Bell 6 rang when no one was thinking about it, naturally. You smile. This room smells of aged copper and ink. It hums. Not literally, but in a way that your chest seems to notice before your ears do. You sit again because sitting feels right in here. The floor is cool. Your knees protest less than usual. Your breath slows. You let your mind drift not toward the bell but around it, past it, into the idea of it. And that's when it happens. A chime, soft, precise. No flash, no meaning to decode. Just acknowledgement. You're not sure which bell made the sound. They all look smug, or maybe that's you. You stay there still for a while longer, not hopping, not resisting, just being. In the quiet, you remember a curious fact. In the period, some temples installed hidden bells underground, not to be heard, but to align with the energy of the space. Supposedly, the resonance brought harmony to the soil itself. Of course, no one agrees whether this ever worked, or if it's just something monks said to justify burying expensive metal. But here now it makes sense. You rise slowly and return to the courtyard. The monk is gone. The broom leans politely against a post. The wind picks up finally, and the wind chime you touched earlier gives a tiny shake, like it's changed its mind about you. Then somewhere behind you, faint and fond, the bell rings again. Just once. Because you forgot to listen. You decide not to go back to your room. Not yet. The temple feels different now, not just older but more awake. Not the sort of awake that moves or stirs or knocks things over. The kind of awake that watches. Like a cat on a windowsill, tail still, eyes fixed, pretending not to judge you. You walk the gravel path again, this time toward a part of the compound that's even more faded, tucked behind a cluster of bamboo and flowering plum. You wouldn't have noticed it earlier. It's not on the temple map, if there even was a map. There's a tiny bridge over a koi pond. Of course there is. The planks are warped and whispery, and one of them feels like it's holding a grudge. Below you, the koi swirl lazily, heavy-bodied and completely disinterested in your presence. One has a chipped fin. Another has a mustache that seems just a little too theatrical. You nod respectfully anyway. As across the bridge lies a tea house. Not the freshly powdered matcha and Instagram lighting kind. The real kind, low eaves, crooked doorframe, and moss that has claimed squatters' rights on every stone. You enter without knockings. The smell inside is perfect. Bamboo matting, old wood, faded jasmine, and the faint ghost of tea leaves long since steeped. There's no one here. Just a low table, a kettle that hasn't boiled in years, and a painting on the wall. You step closer. The painting shows a bell suspended over a field of tall grasses. There are no people, no shrine, no temple, just a bell, freestanding, silent, and vastly out of place. Below it, in tiny script, "Let the bell rust. It remembers more that way." You sit at the low table. There's a cushion that seems surprised to be used. For a moment you do nothing, just breathe, listens. The wind outside picks up. Bamboo sways like lazy metronomes. And then quietly something peculiar happens. From behind the wall comes a soft sound, not a bell, not exactly. More like a chime tangled with a sigh, like metal remembering something it used to be. You rise, slide the door open. Behind the tea house is a garden, not the manicured postcard kind, but a forgotten one. Wild, unedited, trees allowed to argue with each other, stones where stones wanted to be, and at the center an odd structure. It's not a shrine, not really a pagoda. It looks like someone tried to build a bell tower and then changed their mind halfway through. While you step closer, so there's a bell. Now this one is different. Oh, it's made of wood. Oh yes, wood. Rounded, carved, sealed, and darkened with time, hanging from an arch that might once have supported something grander. There's no rope, no mallet, no sign of how it's ever rung. Now you reach toward it but pause. Though this bell doesn't want to be touched. Instead you sit. There's a stone nearby, flat enough to pass for a bench if you squint politely. Now you watch the bell. No, nothing happens. And that perhaps is everything. Now there's a soft hum in the garden, crickets tuning their instruments, wind learning how to whisper again. Now this bell you begin to suspect doesn't ring. Oh, it resonates. No, not through ears, through attention. And for a moment, a soft, quiet moment, you wonder if you've just been part of its song. Now you smile, not for anyone, just for the air. Then you rise and begin walking back. You leave the wooden bell behind, but it doesn't feel left. It feels like it watched you go, approvingly, maybe. Back inside the temple grounds, you find a new path, one you're certain wasn't there before. Or maybe you just never noticed it. It's a narrow corridor between two buildings, shaded by the overhang of the tiled roofs. It smells like rain, though it hasn't rained in hours. Maybe it's the stones exhaling memory. You pass a series of wall niches, little square alcoves where incense holders sit crookedly long cold. Each one is numbered in neat calligraphy. Some are empty, some hold fragments, a button, a folded note, a child's marble, a single dusty coin. At niche number 6 you pause. There's a tiny bell inside, just big enough to hang on a necklace. Its surface is cracked. Next to it, scrawled in handwriting that clearly cared more for speed than clarity. For the question no one asks. You consider ringing it, but you've learned. Bells here have boundaries. As at the end of the corridor, the path opens into a small square room. No roof, just open sky. Moonlight pours in like a silent sermon. In the center, a single stone basin. Water inside, perfectly still, reflecting the moon with a confidence mirrors only dream of. Beside the basin, another bell. This one rests on a cushion, not hung, not displayed, just set gently like someone placed it down mid-thought and never came back. It's smaller than most, but heavy-looking, squat, and round, the kind used in morning rituals. While you sit cross-legged in front of it, it doesn't make a sound, not even when you lean forward and tap it with the pad of one finger. Silence. But as you sit there, something else stirs. Not the bell, not the room, you. A memory, perhaps, or the ghost of one. A sound you heard once as a child, in a train station or maybe in a forest or a dream. The kind of sound that never leaves even though you only heard it once. So the bell doesn't ring, but you remember it anyway. And then, just as you begin to drift, your thoughts dimming like lanterns at dawn, you hear something new. Of footsteps. So soft, measured, bare. You turn your head slowly. There, standing in the doorway, a young monk, not old, not wise-looking, just awake. He nods, says nothing, steps inside, sits beside you silently. For a long time, neither of you speak. Then finally, he gestures toward the bell. It has a name, he says, voice quiet as paper, but no one remembers it. You nod because that makes sense. The old monks called it the listening bell, he continues. Not because it listens to you, but because you can only hear it when you start listening to yourself. You ask if it ever rings. He smiles, it already did before you got here. Of course it did. He stands, blows. Before leaving, he says one last thing. If you want to hear it again, forget where it is. And just like that, he's gone. You sit with the bell a while longer, not because you expect anything, but because it feels right. Above, the stars have shifted. A few clouds drift in like quiet thoughts. The air is cool but not cold. And though the bell does not chime, not once, not even softly, you feel like it did. A while ago, maybe when you weren't paying attention, maybe when you first arrived, maybe when you were born, you rise and let it go. You find your way back to the main courtyard, though the route feels entirely new. Not because it is, but because you are. The gravel crunches underfoot like a familiar lullaby. The paper lanterns flicker gently, even though no one's relit them. Somehow their glow persists, like old memories that forgot how to fade properly. The temple is quieter now, if that's even possible. It's the kind of quiet that doesn't just absorb sound, but dissolves the need for it altogether. You pause beside a well you hadn't noticed before. It's old, the rope frayed, the wooden frame bowing with age like it's halfway through a dramatic sigh. You peer in, the water is still, deeper than it looks, and oddly reflective, like it's waiting for you to ask the right question. You don't, because questions here have a habit of answering themselves when you're not ready. Still, your reflection stares back at you, not quite matching your movements. You blink, it blinks slower, you smile, it doesn't. You look away. Though that's probably fine. Beside the well is a stone marker, not tall, just enough to be ignored for centuries. Carved into it. What is not remembered must still be carried. You rub your thumb along the groove of the characters, surprised by how warm the stone feels. Then, just as you're about to continue on, you hear a new sound. Not a bell, a broom. Somewhere nearby, someone is sweeping. The sound is unhurried, rhythmic, comforting. You follow it because by now you've accepted that direction here is more suggestion than fact. You turn a corner, one you're fairly certain didn't exist 10 minutes ago, and enter a small courtyard tucked behind a sleeping hall. Oh, there she is. A woman older than logic sweeping the stone path with a handmade broom. The bristles are uneven, her sandals are mismatched. Her face is soft, lined with decades of amused disappointment in humanity. She doesn't stop sweeping when you arrive, doesn't even look up. The bell rang for you, she says, like it's an overdue library notice. You ask which one. She chuckles, that's not how they work. Bells don't ring for people, people ring for bells. You let that hang there for a second, until it begins to sag under its own philosophical weight. She finishes a slow sweep across the moss-lined path, then finally looks at you. You've heard them now, you're part of them. You ask what that means. She shrugs, probably nothing. Then she leans on her broom and looks up at the night sky. Once a bell here rang without metal, she says. No bronze, no hammer, just sound. You wait. No one knows how. The sound was recorded on parchment like a shadow. They said the note could only be seen when the candle flickered just right. You ask if she saw it. She grins, oh no, I was still quite unborn, but the broom remembers. You're about to ask if that was a joke, but she returns to sweeping before you can decide. You thank her. She nods satisfied. Good, now go to the bell that doesn't exist. It's late. Love, of course it is. You leave her to her sweeping. The path behind you already seems cleaner, as if the dust itself agreed to be elsewhere. You head toward the west wing of the temple complex. It's not labeled on any signs, not that you've seen signs. Just the kind of unlabeled mystery that temples like to keep lying around like spiritual leftovers. Here, the architecture changes subtly. The eaves are narrower, the wood darker, the doors closer together as if the walls are whispering things to each other and don't want you listening in. You pass a room with no floor, just a shallow pool of water where tatami should be. Floating in it, hundreds of tiny folded paper cranes, some soggy, some miraculously crisp, all facing different directions. You pause, one of them is moving, not drifting, moving like it's packing. But you leave it alone, that's a tomorrow problems. You finally reach the end of the corridor. A door stands before you, but there's no handle. Just a long strip of fabric hanging down the middle, painted with a single character. Nothingness. You lift the fabric and step through. Inside, the smallest bell yet. Not hanging, not resting, simply there. Balanced on a square of stone, its surface dull, like it's forgotten how to reflect light. Around the bell, 6 pillows. You sit, again, because that's what this place does. It seats you until you've stopped asking why. The walls are made of sanded cedar. No decorations, just silence, but not hollow silence. The kind that feels full, like the air has been steeped in thoughts. While you let your hands rest on your knees. Your breath slows, your thoughts drift. One or two even politely excuse themselves and leave. While you stare at the bell and something becomes clear. Though this one isn't meant to ring, not even secretly. It's the absence of ringing. A bell-shaped spaces. A sound-shaped silences. This is the bell that exists solely to remind you that silence is also sound. You remember reading once that during the period, a temple in the north kept a mute bell for 32 years. Monks sat with it in meditation. It was never struck. They believed its power came not from sound but from presence, from potential. As of course, no one agrees whether the bell was real, or just a poetic metaphor someone took too literally. But now, sitting here, you understand. While you close your eyes, and in that silence, while you hear everything, not actual sounds, just the memory of them. A child's laugh, a rustle of cloth, a storm you once slept through, the creak of your grandmother's floorboards, the first time someone said your name like it meant something. Though the silence is not empty. It's crowded with all the echoes that have nowhere else to go. You smile, not because you're enlightened, just because the silence was kind enough to make room for you. So the bell doesn't ring, as it never will, and that's the point. You rise quietly and bow to it. It doesn't respond, but it doesn't need to. Outside, the wind has changed direction. You follow it. The wind leads you, not pushes or pulls, but simply invites you down a winding stone path behind the temple's outer wall. No signs, no lamps, just moss, moonlight, and the faint perfume of damp pine. It's the kind of path that looks like it wasn't made but remembered. The stones don't feel laid so much as found, like they've always known where to sit, and are slightly annoyed anyone would ask. You follow anyway, your footsteps quiet enough to feel like an apology. To your left, a narrow stream trickles beside the path. The water isn't clear, too full of old leaves, drifting petals, and time. But it flows gently, with the confidence of something that's been flowing for 1,000 years and doesn't need your validation. You pause at a low wooden gate. No latch, just a hinge that sighs when you nudge it open. Beyond the gate is a grove. It shouldn't be here. Too secluded, too large, too intact. As if the entire temple complex has been slowly decaying around this one protected space. The trees are tall and orderly, planted with deliberate distance. Their roots spiral through moss like calligraphy, and above, their branches weave into a ceiling that dapples the moonlight into flickering silk. At the center of the grove is a pavilion. Octagonal, elevated, red-painted wood peeling just enough to show age without becoming tragic. The roof curves like a falling leaf, and from each corner a small bell dangles, 4 in all. They do not ring. You walk up the steps. Though the floorboards are smooth from centuries of sitting, bowing, sleeping, and secrets. Is in the middle of the pavilion is a shallow stone bowl filled with water, reflecting the 4 hanging bells. But there's something strange about their reflection. They sway slightly, even though the real bells don't move at all. So you blink. They still don't move. But in the water, they continue their slow, ghostly dance. You sit cross-legged beside the basin. The wood beneath you creaks, but gently like it's stretching after a long nap. You listen, not for anything in particular, just the air, the trees, the slow breath of the earth beneath you. And then one of the bells rings. Not above you, not in the air. Is in the water. A single ripple echoes from the reflection. You glance up, the bells still hang motionless. You look back down. Another ripple. You don't understand it. And for once, you don't want to. You think of a story someone once told you about a Zen master who built a bell and buried it in a pond. The villagers laughed until one spring the frogs started croaking in rhythm and never stopped. No one ever found the bells. And no one ever made fun of the frogs again. The wind circles the grove, soft and circular, and with it comes a smell, faint, unfamiliar, but oddly comforting. Is that roasted chestnut? You smile, this temple, always 5 steps ahead. You rise and bow to the water, it does not bow back. The bells do not chime again. But their silence feels fuller now. Satisfied. Back on the path, the air has cooled. Your breath fogs slightly, like a secret deciding whether to be told. The forest thins, and you find yourself near the edge of the temple grounds. Though edge is a generous word. The landscape here feels like it's unspooling into something older than maps. To your right is a small hut. It's crooked, leaning slightly westward as if eavesdropping on the next valley. The roof is tiled, but half the tiles are mossy, and at least 3 are missing altogether, like teeth in a temple's tired grin. You step inside. No door, just a curtain made from thick hemp, dyed once long ago and now the color of old newspaper. Though the hut is empty, almost. In the center sits a table, low and square, with a scroll unfurled across it. Beside the scroll, ink, a brush, and a small bowl of pebbles. You step closer. Though the scroll is not written in ink. It's written in ash. Tiny strokes, perfect kanji, made from what appears to be ground incense and soot. Though the brush hasn't been used recently, the ash letters are crisp, recent. And yet no one's here. You read a few lines. Though the writing is sparse and direct. The bell without a tongue still speaks. The bell buried in silence still sings. Only those who ring without ringing hear. You blink, the words shift slightly, not literally, just perceptually, like meaning is a thing that drips sideways if you stare too long. You sit down at the table. There's no chair, of course, just a tatami mat that gives with a sigh beneath your weight. You pick up the bowl of pebbles. They're smooth, cool, 6 of them, different colors, all dull, all quiet. You set them down one by one, instinctively forming a circle. The moment the last stone touches the table, you hear a bell. Not in the air, not in your ears, in your teeth. It's a soft vibration, deep and polite, like an apology for showing up uninvited. Your molars hum, your jaw aches slightly. The sound passes before you can name it. Then silence. You look down. The stones have not moved. The brush lies exactly as before. But the scroll has added a line. Heard now. You don't know how or why, but somehow the scroll has written to you, or someone else has. You answer by adding a stone to the center of the circle. Nothing happens. Exactly as it should. The bell won't ring again, not right now, but it knows you were here. You leaves the hut. Not because it's done. Because you are. As outside, the first hint of dawn begins to gray the edge of the sky. A rooster calls somewhere far away, possibly confused or ambitious. You walk slowly back toward the temple. Each step feels lighter now, not because you're less tired, but because you're less trying. Though the bells don't chime, the wind doesn't rise. But somehow, everything is louder than it was. The dawn does not arrive all at once here. It drips. A slow infusion of pale light into the folds of the temple. So gradual, you don't notice it until the shadows start whispering less. You walk the outer corridor barefoot now, not by decision exactly, just because at some point your sandals gave up and you didn't notice. The wood beneath your feet is cool but not cold, smoothed by centuries of morning footsteps just like yours. The air tastes faintly of smoke, someone's lit incense somewhere. Sandalwood maybe, or something older. One of those temple blends whose ingredients are a well-kept secret, like how your grandmother made soup taste like protection. You pass a window open to the inner garden. The gravel has been freshly raked into concentric circles, even though you saw no one doing it. The patterns are impossibly perfect, like someone used a compass or patience you can't imagine possessing. In the center sits a bell, different from the others. It's small, just the size of your palm, and painted entirely white, not the bronze or rusted iron of earlier. This one looks porcelain, delicate, out of place. You slide the window further open and step down into the gardens. The morning breeze brushes across your skin like silk washed too many times. You approach the bell. It's resting in a wooden stand, upright, unmoving. No cushion, no rope, no ceremonial fanfare. Adjust the bell, and the rake marks that spiral around it like a maze with no end. You crouch beside it, hesitant to touch. Instead, you listen. Nothing. No vibration, no hum, not even bird songs. The garden holds its breath. You try something new, you close your eyes, you let your ears go soft, you stop trying to hear. And that's when you feel it. A sound not in your ears, but in the tiny hairs on your arms. A soft vibration just once, like a breath inside your skin. You open your eyes. The bell has not moved. But the gravel pattern now subtly different. Where it once circled around the bell, now the lines break near the center. One gentle curve extends toward where you kneel, like an invitation drawn by silence. You said, no, not for answers, just to be aligned. They say in ancient Kyoto, a monk once designed a temple where the wind moved in musical intervals. He spent 10 years carving narrow channels in the walls just to tune the morning gusts. Supposedly, he never heard it himself. He died before it was finished. But visitors claimed that during sunrise, the air played a perfect fifth between two halls. A harmony that existed only when no one expected it. No recordings, no diagrams. Just a belief passed down like a rumor wearing a robe. You like that story. You stay by the white bell a little longer. Not because it needs you. Because it's kind enough to let you stay. And then gently you rise and walk back toward the main halls. Your bare feet stir the gravel only slightly, like you're asking permission. You re-enter the main hall just as the sun crests the eastern gate. Light pours in, not harsh, not eager, more like warm tea finding its way into a waiting cup. The room stretches before you, long and empty. The tatami side beneath your steps. You're not sure if you're supposed to be here, but at this point, you suspect supposed to has quietly excused itself from this entire experience. Along the far wall, scrolls hang in quiet rows, calligraphy, landscapes, sutras faded into soft memory. But one scroll is new. You recognize it, it's the ash writing from the hut. Now here's the mounted, framed in wood older than most cities. The characters shimmer slightly in the morning light. Not ink, still ash, but somehow intact. You sit on a cushion that wasn't there yesterday. Before you is a low table with a bowl of water, a single candle, and you guessed it, another bell. This one is carved from stone. You lift it. It's heavier than it looks, worn smooth like it was passed between too many hands. There's no clapper inside, just a hollow silence that feels respectful. You set it back down gently. The ash scroll now has a second stanza beneath the first. The bell of stone knows nothing, but it holds a space for what you forgot. You glance toward the doorway. The monk from earlier, the one who spoke of listening, stands quietly at the edge. Oh, he nods. Oh, you ask what it means. Oh, he smiles as though that's your question, not his. Not all bells are for calling, he says. Some are for keeping. Oh, you don't ask what they keep. Oh, because you're starting to feel the answer. He continues, there's a room deep below the foundation. We call it the hollow chamber. You raise an eyebrow. Oh, he grins, yes, it's real, we think. He gestures for you to follow. And for reasons you don't question, you do. He leads you past rooms you haven't seen before. A hall lined with fans, literal hand fans, each painted with a name. Another room with nothing but mirrors, arranged to catch a single beam of sunlight and bounce it in impossible directions. You pass a staircase that spirals downward. He does not take it. He slides open a panel instead. Low, rectangular, hidden behind a row of ceremonial umbrellas. And behind that panel, a ramp. Not steep, just long. The air cools immediately, dust thickens, but it smells pleasant, like parchment and rain. The ramp leads into a room lit by 3 lanterns, bare stone walls, a polished floor of black rock that reflects your footsteps. And at the center, a bell. Of course. This one is the largest yet. No, not just in size, in presence. It dominates the space without touching it. Matte black, shaped like a tear caught mid-fall, it has no inscriptions, no carvings, just a single horizontal crack near its base. While you stare at it, while the monk speaks, this bell was never meant to ring out loud, he says. It's made from a meteorite. So you blink. It fell near the northern coast over 1,000 years ago. The villagers feared it, said it buzzed at night. Eventually, the local abbot ordered it melted into a bell, hopping to give it purpose. You walk around it slowly. The crack hums very faintly when you're close, not noise, just potential. Some say it rings when someone tells the truth, the monk adds. Others say it rings when someone remembers something they were never told. You ask what he believes. He shrugs. I believe it listens. You nod. He steps back, giving you space. You sit on the polished floor, the stone warm beneath you. You rest your hands on your knees, and you don't speak. The bell does not ring. But neither do you. The monk leaves you there, alone in the hollow chambers. And somehow that's the loudest sound of all. You sit in the hollow chamber longer than you realize. It's the kind of stillness that bends time, not the dramatic kind where clocks spin backward or shadows walk sideways, but the subtle sort. Where you blink and discover your breath has slowed, your thoughts have gone out for a stroll, and your shoulders have quietly drifted several inches lower. The meteorite bell looms before you. Our presence. Not ominous, just enormous in meaning. It doesn't vibrate, doesn't hum, doesn't warm or pulse. And yet its silence has depth. You find yourself thinking about things you haven't thought of in years. And childhood sounds, the echo of a school hallway, the way gravel shifts under a first bicycle tire, the clink of a spoon in your grandmother's teacup. Well, you didn't come here for any of this. Oh, and yet, you rise slowly, bowing not out of custom, but because standing without acknowledgement feels incomplete. As you make your way back up the stone ramp, the air shifts, it grows warmer. The scent of incense returns, this time richer, more layered. Frankincense, perhaps, or something aged in old wood and even older stories. You emerge from the passage to find yourself, not in the corridor where you began, but in a hallway entirely unfamiliar. This one is lined with tall shelves, not of books, but of instruments. Not musical ones, not exactly. You see tuning forks, pendulums, shallow bowls with etched lines, old wooden rods with tiny metal pieces dangling from string. And bells, so many bells, some made of quartz, some of clay. One carved from coral, as if the sea had coughed it up and dared someone to tune it. As at the far end of the room, an elderly man sits on a cushion. Thin, still, wearing a robe that might once have been blue but now looks like memory itself. He beckons you with a single slow hand. You approach. He doesn't speak at first. He simply hands you something. A wooden box about the size of a thick book. You sit, open it, and inside. Another bells. But this one is broken. Cleanly split in two. A soft curve cracked down the middle, like the smile of someone who loved too hard and once. You look up. He finally speaks, voice like wind through paper. Some bells are meant to break. You don't ask why, you're past that now. He adds, this one rang during an earthquake, not before, during, but only once. Loud enough to wake the mountain, soft enough not to disturb the birds. You run a finger along the crack. The bell is warm. He continues, there's a legend, only a whisper really, that some bells are vessels for promises. If the promise is kept, the bell lasts. If not, he gestures toward the fracture. You ask if anyone knows what the promise was. No one wrote it down, he says, smiling sadly. Some truths resist paper. He lets the silence settle before speaking again. Would you like to hear it? You hesitate, it's broken. He nods exactly. He hands you a mallet, light, worn smooth by hundreds of hands. You tap the two halves, gently holding them together as best you can. And somehow it rings. Not a full sound, not a proper chime. But something. The ghost of a note, a whisper of a chord. It lasts only a second. But it's enough. You close the boxes. The old man bows his head. You return it gently to the shelf beside others, some intact, some cracked, one melted into a puddle of forgotten music. Before you go, he gives you one final piece of advice. Not all things that break stop singing. You leave him there in the room of instruments, his eyes already closed again. Perhaps asleep, perhaps just elsewhere. The hallway beyond feels different now. Softer. Or maybe you do. The corridor you enter next is bathed in golden morning light. You've lost track of time completely now. The sun has definitely risen, though it still feels like dawn. You walk slowly, not because you're tired, but because hurrying would feel like disrespect. You pass through a doorway shaped like a bell itself, arched wide at the bottom, tapering gently toward the top. The wood is carved with tiny birds, each one unique, each one facing a different direction. And inside, a round chamber lined with cushions and tapestries. At the center sits a circle of children. Not many, maybe 5. They sit cross-legged around a low drum. A bell sits atop the drum, tiny, painted with blue flowers. A young woman, possibly a teacher, notices you and smiles. Would you like to join? You nod before your logic can stop you. One of the children scoots over and pats the cushion beside them like you've been late for school. You said. The air is sweet, scented with rice flour and something like cinnamon. The teacher raises a small stick and taps the drum once softly. The children close their eyes. Then she taps the bell. It chimes, high, clear, almost impossibly sweet. She waits. Then again, another tap. And then she says, "Tell me what you felt." The children don't describe sounds. One says, "A pond with a dragonfly." Another, "The color greens." Another, "After thinking very hard. The time I found a feather, but it flew away." The teacher nods after each answer, never correcting, never explaining. She looks at you. You hesitate. Then say, "My grandmother's hands." She smiles like she's heard that before. The bell chimes again. You all sit in the echo. Then the children rise, gathering small folded papers and placing them beneath the bell. The teacher explains, "We write down what the bell reminded us of, then we forget the paper, the bell keeps it." You smile, of course it does. She offers you a slip of rice paper and a brush. You hesitate again. Then you write. Just one word. Not a name, not a place. Just the word that came to you as the bell rang. You fold the paper and set it under the bell. It doesn't chime, but it doesn't need to. The children bow to the bell before leaving. The teacher bows last. You bow too. Outside, the air is lighter than before. As if all that remembering made space for something else. You walk a little taller now. Not proud, just full. The way a quiet morning fills a teacup. You step onto the porch and watch the trees sway gently in the breeze. And though there is no sound, you hear something anyway. The bell is always ringing. You just don't always notice. You walk back toward the main compound, though back no longer feels like a direction. It's more of a sensation now, of returning not to a place, but to a part of yourself that feels slightly older, slightly softer than when you arrived. Though the temple is fully awake now, but it hasn't lost its quiet. So somewhere someone is sweeping again. Elsewhere, someone lights incense with the kind of care that implies they've done it 1,000 times and never stopped meaning it. You follow a narrow side path you didn't see before. As it winds gently between the walls, bare earthen plaster here, aged with time, showing the grain of each palm-sized patch where repairs were made and made again. It's honest work, these walls. The kind that doesn't hide what's broken, just patches it lovingly. As at the end of the path is a wooden door. No handle, just a cloth banner tied neatly at the top, fluttering ever so slightly. You lift it and duck inside. This room is dim, not dark exactly, just shaded like the inside of a closed eyelid. The floor is stone, the walls are papered with old maps. Not of countries, not of trade routes. Love sound. One scroll shows a pond with ripples sketched outward in perfect rings. Another is a diagram of bells, different shapes, positions, materials, all labeled in a script that's both ancient and speculative. Marginal notes in red speculate on the effect of weather, wind, mood. There's one map that simply shows a spiral labeled only with a date. No explanation. And in the center of the room, a chair, just one. It faces a frame, a wooden structure that supports a long metal wire, stretched horizontally across like the string of a single-stringed harp. Beneath the wire is a bell, or perhaps the ghost of one. It's hollow and so thin you can see light through it. I'll use a said. And wait. No, nothing happens. Love of course. Then a breeze faint, barely enough to stir your hair. But it moves the wire. Which strikes the bell. Not hard. Just barely. And the sound it makes is strange. Not wrong. Just private. It enters your ears and goes somewhere else. Somewhere deeper than sound usually travels. You exhale without realizing you'd been holding your breath. Then another breeze, another note. This time you don't hear it with your ears. You feel it behind your ribs. You close your eyes. There's a theory, probably disputed by every scholar who's ever loved a chalkboard, that certain frequencies can alter memory recall. Not by implanting new memories, but by shaking loose the ones you've buried under lists and schedules and polite nods. This bell might be tuned to that frequency. You feel something open. No, not a memory, just a space where one used to be. And in that space, warmth. You stay there a while, letting the wind play what little music it dares. You don't try to memorize the sound. It was never meant to be remembered. Only received. You stand. The breeze has stopped. The bell rests. You step outside. And behind you, the banner flutters once more, like it's waving goodbye without being sentimental about it. You're wandering now. Not lost, not searching. Just wandering. The way clouds do. The way children forget themselves when they're busy being. You pass a small alcove carved into the wall. Inside, a single offering, not fruit, not coins, not incense, but a book. Its spine is worn. Its cover is blank. And when you open it, the pages are filled with lines. Not words. Just lines like brushstrokes left mid-sentence. As every so often a line turns inward, loops, doubles back. You flip a few more pages, same thing. Until you reach one page where someone has written, just once in soft gray ink. The bell you're looking for isn't a bell. You close the book. You don't take it. Some silences are meant to stay where they are. You keep walking. Eventually, you arrive at a gate. It's the one you entered through last night, or maybe it's not. Everything has shifted since then. You've shifted. It's outside, the road is quiet. The trees hum with cicadas now, and the sky has warmed from pale gold to a richer amber, like the whole world is exhaling. You think of living. You could walk down the hill and into the waking day, full of cars and clicks and lists and clocks. But something tugs at you. A gentle, persistent sound, not in the air but in your body, a kind of pulse. So you turn back. And instead of heading for any particular room or shrine or bell, you find yourself beneath the oldest tree in the compound. It's a camphor tree. Its bark is gnarled into ridges and rings, thick and wide enough that you could sit inside the hollow of its trunk if you wanted to. And you do. And inside the tree, the air is sweet, a little dusty, quiet in the way chapels wish they could be. So someone carved a bell shape into the inside wall of the trunk. Just the outline. No names. No dates. No sound. You rest your back against the opposite wall and sit in the stillness. You don't meditate. You don't chant. You just listen. And something listens back. It's not a bell. But it is. You understand now. The bells you followed, heard, touched, imagined, all of them were just invitations. To stillness. To attention. To a presence. And presence doesn't need a chime. You sit there longer than time permits. And for the first time, you don't care what time permits. Outside, the wind rises, then stills. And inside, you close your eyes. And in that space, soft, silent, sacred, you hear the loudest sound of all. Oh, nothing. But it fills you completely. When you finally rise from the hollow inside the camphor tree, the world hasn't changed. But you have. Just a little. The air still smells of warm bark and distant incense. The temple still hums softly around you, the same low symphony of absence and age, but your breathing is slower now. Your thoughts fewer, not erased, just softened, like writing left in the sun too long. You walk slowly, not because you're tired, but because speed seems like a rude guest. The path winds around a stone wall etched with lichen. You run your fingers along its surface. It's warm in patches, cool in others. You wonder how many monks touched this same spot, how many rainstorms washed across it, how many seasons pressed their fingers into these very stones. Now there's a small bench under a willow tree. It wasn't there before. Or maybe you never noticed. You sit again because sitting has become your most fluent language. The willow's branches drift down like threads of green silk, some brushing your shoulders, some whispering against the bench like they're trying to tell it something in confidence. Across from the bench, half hidden by a folding screen of weathered bamboo, is a peculiar structure. Not quite a building, more like a frame. Wooden beams forming a square around a raised platform. And at the center, suspended by two ropes braided from hair-thin cords of red and white silk. The bells. They're not a large ones, but strange. Its shape is wrong. Instead of the usual bowl curve, this bell is elongated, like a lantern turned upside down, tapering into a point. Its surface isn't smooth. It's ridged with hundreds of tiny rings, like tree growth or fingerprints from a very patient god. Well, there's no striker, no cord, no plaque. Just a bell suspended in the quiet, as if waiting to be remembered. You approach, and as you step onto the platform, the wood creaks, not with protest but recognition. The bell doesn't move. But something in you does. You step closer and suddenly realize it's made of bone. Not one piece, many seamlessly fused. Sculpted so perfectly that only in this light, from this angle, can you see the hairline differences between fragments. You take a breath, not out of fear, out of reverence. This bell is old, not centuries older. One of the oldest things you've ever stood beside. And then, despite its strange material, it hums, barely, like a seashell pressed against the ear of the earth. You reach out not to touch, but to listen. And it speaks, not in words, in memory. A sound you've never heard, but somehow recognize. Like lullabies from before you were born. Like the echo of your name spoken kindly for the first time. There's a story, almost myth now, of a bell made from the bones of those who died protecting something sacred. Not war heroes, not kings, just people who stayed behind when they didn't have to. People who kept a light lit or a gate shut or a vow. No one knows who made the bells. No one knows where it was kept. Except maybe here. Well, you don't ask questions. The bell wouldn't answer. You bow not because you were taught to, because anything else would feel unfinished. And the bell doesn't ring, but the silence it leaves behind. It glows. You wander back toward the heart of the temples. There's a quietude now that's different from before. Not deeper, just more complete, as though the temple has exhaled and you're walking inside its breaths. You pass a low stone arch and find yourself in a courtyard you didn't expect. Circular, small, encircled by wind chimes. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They hang from threads of silk and rope and string, all different shapes, glass, wood, bamboo, ceramic, some as simple as a thimble, others as ornate as crown jewels. And not a single one is ringing. The wind has paused here. On purpose, while you step into the center. And then just one chime. A tiny sound, high and uncertain. You look up, the chime came from a little bell shaped like a plum blossom. The petal edges chipped, a red thread frayed at the end. It sways. Then another bell rings. And another. One by one, like someone tapping a piano key for every memory you've ever left behind. The air begins to move, not hard, not cold. Just enough to carry the sound of the chimes around you like a slow-motion waterfall. You turn slowly in place. And suddenly, you remember something. Not a thought. A feeling. The specific texture of waking up under a blanket that still holds someone else's warmth. The quiet thrill of your first library card. The precise moment you realized someone you loved was quietly leaving, and you didn't know how to ask them to stay. All those memories that didn't need names, only sounds. And the bells give them to you. A low, hollow tone, a high, nervous ping, a ceramic tap that sounds like laughter at the edge of tears. You don't cry, but your eyes soften. The same way clouds do just before rain. In the corner of the courtyard, you spot a table. They're not big, not formal. And on it, a pile of small wooden tags. Each one has space for a name, or a word, or nothing. You pick one up. You write a word. You hang it beside the red thread bell. It doesn't chime. But as you step away, it shivers. Just once. And suddenly, that's enough. Though you step outside the courtyard, though the air still hums behind you, though the chimes continue now faint, like a dream still echoing after you've woken. And ahead of you another paths, though this one lined with steps. The stone old, the kind that remember every foot they've ever carried. Though you begin climbing slowly, like someone who knows they're not quite ready for the end, but no longer afraid of it. Each step feels lighter than the last. Not because the path is easy, but because you are no longer trying to carry every silence alone. And far above at the top of the hill, something waits. Maybe a bell, maybe not. But it doesn't matter. You're already listening. Though the steps are uneven. Some sag slightly in the middle, worn smooth by centuries of deliberate feet. Others tilt as if tired of holding still. But all of them belong. You climb slowly, not from exhaustion, but from an instinct that rushing would insult the path. The moss that grows in patches between the stones looks content. It doesn't reach, it doesn't sprawl, it simply exists. Soft, ancient, unhurried. The canopy above thins and light begins to pool around you. Not harsh sunlight, this is temple light. Filtered, a little gold, a little green. The kind of light that dapples rather than shines. The kind that blesses without asking permission. Eventually, you reach the top. There's no gate, no shrine, no drumbeat of ceremony. Just a flat clearing, a little wind, a bench of weathered wood and a view that doesn't brag. From here, you can see the entire temple spread below you. Tiled rooftops nestled among trees like quiet animals resting in the sun. Footpaths winding like stories too old to finish. Lanterns still glowing faintly from last night, even though they should gone dark hours ago. The world looks still, but not frozen. Alive, just listening. To the left, partially hidden behind a tall cedar, is a small structure. You approach it almost on instinct. It's not much taller than you, more an enclosure than a building. A frame of blackened wood and within it a bells. Now this one is unlike any before. It's transparent. Not glass, something stranger. It catches light like water but holds it like crystal. You can see the landscape through it, distorted and trembling slightly, as if reality itself is being filtered through memory. There's a small plaque carved in low relief beside it. The final bell is not the last. It is the one that echoes after everything else has faded. While you step closer, there's no mallet, no rope. Just the bell hanging impossibly still. And beside it, a small folded cushion, an invitation to sit. So you do. You sit and you wait. Not for sound. Not for answers. Just for the echo. There's a long silence. But it's not empty. As it is full dense, almost, with the weight of everything you've heard up to now. The whisper of drums in a hall you passed at dusk. The bells that rang inside a pool of water. The one that resonated in your jawbones. The one made of bones. The chime of wind bells and the hush of your own breath. And then, without movement, without warning, this final bell chimes. Or rather, it exists as sound. Oh, it doesn't ring, it becomes. It's not a tone, it's a remembering. It's a note shaped like your own name whispered by a version of yourself who still believes in wonder. And when it fades, you feel not emptiness, but expansion. Like the echo wasn't fading away, it was fading into you. You sit with that for a while. Let it nest. Then you stand. You bow. And the bell does not respond. Because it doesn't need to. You leave the clearing with quieter feet. And softer thoughts. The descent is easier than you expect. Not because gravity helps, but because something in you has shifted. Your steps are lighter now, not physically, just intention-wise. Like you've given yourself permission to stop gripping so tightly. Halfway down, you pause at a turn in the steps and find something curious. The box. Not hidden, not announced. Just resting on a flat stone, its corners softened by weather and time. It's made of pale wood, almost silver. There's a sliding lid and a strip of cloth tied loosely across the top. A single word inked into the side in faint brushstrokes. Or this. While you sit beside it, no hurry. When you open the lid, inside is a collection of slips. Small, folded, tucked like wishes in a well. Each one bears a question. You pick one at random and unfold it. As if you could hear a bell from someone you've lost, what would it sound like? You close your eyes. The answer comes immediately. It sounds like laughter. Not joyful, not loud, just soft, surprised laughter. Like they'd forgotten something and just remembered again. You open another. As if a bell could ring for only one memory, which would you let it keep? That one takes longer. You think of a rainstorm, a hallway, a letter, a pair of hands, a light left on. But finally, you know. You fold the slip again and tuck it back. You don't need to write it down. It already rang. The next question is the last you read. As if you could leave a bell for someone who hasn't yet arrived, what would you make it from? You look around. And at the stone steps, the wind-stirred trees, the cedar you leaned against earlier, the silence still lingering in your chest. You think I'd make it from patience. They're not metal. They're not bones. They're not crystal. All patience. And maybe one drop of kindness too small to notice until it rings. You smile, fold the paper gently. And before placing it back, you add something. No, not a new question. Just a word. Still, you close the boxes. Not with finality, with a care. The temple below waits, unchanged and utterly transformed. You rise and begin walking again, each step no longer leading you forward but inward. And from somewhere very far or very near, a bell rings. Not for you, not because of you, but with you. As if the echo was always yours, waiting for the moment you'd stop needing it to prove itself. You pause. You listen. And this time, you hear it completely. You continue down the steps, though down is starting to feel like an illusion. The path is meandering now, folding gently through groves and under arches that weren't there yesterday, or maybe were always there, just waiting until you were ready to notice them. There's a bench ahead, tucked beneath a maple tree. Its branches still cradle the early light like it's something fragile. You sit, because the bench has clearly been waiting for someone and you'd hate to be impolite. Across from you there's an open gate. Nothing fancy, just two wooden posts and a crossbeam. Hanging from the top, a bell you recognize. Not in detail, but in sensation. It's the bell from the first night, the one you never really saw, only heard. It hangs quietly now, not shimmering, not daring. Just a present. It swings slightly in the breeze, though there is no breeze. The motion is small, like it's sighing in its sleep. You stand again, drawn across the threshold of the gate. As you pass beneath the bell, a single note resonates. Soft, not startling, just enough to acknowledge you. Like a hello from someone who already knows your name, but doesn't want to make a fuss about it. You walk through. The path here is lined with small stone markers. Not graves, just notations, reminders. Some have moss, some have ink-brushed characters. One has a small ceramic frog perched on top, smiling with great personal satisfaction. A sign leans against a post nearby. It's barely legible, as if it were written by someone in a hurry or someone who didn't care much for readability. It says, "This way to the place you didn't mean to find." So naturally, you go that way. The path winds until it stops abruptly at a door built into the hillside. It's small, barely large enough for you to step through without ducking. The wood is blackened with age and maybe fire. A narrow rope hangs from a hook above it, tied into an intricate knot. There's no handle. There's only a bell embedded in the center of the door. A flat, round, dull metal. Its surface is etched with 7 tiny circles. You reach out. Not to ring. To feel. And the bell, impossibly, is warm. Not freshly heated. Just lived in. You press your fingers gently to the edge, and for a moment your whole hand vibrates. a soft pulsing like the heartbeat of something very old and very still. You hear nothing, but feel everything. The door creaks open without effort. And inside a small circular chamber. The stone walls, a domed ceiling painted with constellations you don't recognize. Stars arranged not for navigation, but for remembering. There's a raised dais at the center, and on it, a single bell. This one is carved from obsidian. Pitch black. And flawless. The kind of black that doesn't reflect light, it absorbs it. You sit before it without question. And just as you settle into the stillness, something begins to shift. Not the bells. You. The memory emerges, not sharp, blurry around the edges like a photo in soft focus. It's you, younger, much younger. Running down a hallway. Laughing not because of anything specific, just because running and laughing used to come naturally without needing reasons. And then suddenly you're back. The obsidian bell unmoved. The memory lingering like incense in an empty room. You realize this bell doesn't ring for you. It rings as you. It's not a sound to hear. It's a sound to remember yourself by. You close your eyes. You breathe. And you let the bell be. When you emerge from the hillside chamber, the sun has climbed higher, softening into its second act. The late morning now, the kind of light that suggests tea is appropriate but urgency is not. You find a garden path, stepping stones through a grove of citrus trees. Their blossoms perfume the air in a way that makes your breath linger in your nose, like your body wants to remember the scent more than the moment. At the end of the path, a gate opens into a courtyard you could swear you've passed before. You probably have. But it's changed. Or you have. It's a walled space with an open sky and a round patch of raked gravel at its center. As a monk stands there holding a rake, you recognize him. He's the one who never acknowledged your presence that first night, the one sweeping nothing into nowhere. Now he looks up. He smiles almost. Then returns to raking. You watch for a moment. His pattern makes no sense. The lines overlap, double back, vanish, reappear. And yet the whole space feels deliberate, like a thought you can't explain but still understand. He gestures you forward. You step inside. The gravel crunches like soft sugar underfoot. He hands you the rake. You don't ask what to do. You begins. And at first, the rake feels awkward, too light in some places, too resistant in others. But then your hands adjust. Your muscles stop trying. Your feet learn their place. And you rake. Not artfully. Not messily. Just honestly. Line after line. A curve after curve. And then, without realizing, you're no longer making patterns. You're listening onto the scrape, onto the wind, onto the bell that doesn't exist in this courtyard, but echoes here anyway. The monk nods and walks away without a word. He leaves behind a teacup. That's still warm. I'll use a sip. It tastes like barley and calm. The courtyard now bears your marks. Imperfect, curious, true. I'll use a sip. And there, hanging from a crooked bamboo post near the garden wall, is another bell's. It's made of paper. Folded, lacquered, hardened by times. A soft breeze makes it rustle but not ring. And somehow that's the point. This bell was never meant to chime. It exists for the moment before a sound, for the breath in, for the weightless pause, for the hush that invites a story but never demands one. You sit with it a while longer, and let the silence say everything. Then you stand quietly. No ceremony. Just gratitude folded into your footsteps as you walk away. Somewhere behind you, the paper bell trembles once. Not ringing it. Just remembering you were here. You find yourself walking again. No path this time, just the soft earth beneath your feet and a canopy of cedar and pine above, filtering the light like stained glass in motion. There's no sign, no indication of destination. Just a direction that feels correct in your bones, like your body knows something your thoughts haven't caught up to yet. You step over a twisted root. Around a stone basin where a toad blinks once, then returns to ignoring you. And there it is again. That sound. Not a bell exactly, not a tone or a chimes. Pulses. Reminders. You follow it. Eventually, you come upon what looks like the skeleton of a building. Not ruined, not abandoned, just paused. Its beams are exposed. There are no walls, just posts and roof slats woven with vines and a few patient birds. Wind moves through it freely, making every timber sing in its own low language. In the middle, a circular platform. And on it, a bell. This one made of clay. Cracked. Fired unevenly. The flecks of color reveal where it was glazed by hand, likely by someone who didn't call themselves an artist, but still made something beautiful just by paying attention. You sit beside it. There's no one else here, but you feel accompanied. You close your eyes and place your palm near the bell, not touching. You feel heated. No, not heat. The memory. Not yours exactly. Just memory itself. There's a story here. Not written. Not told. Just a present. You remember something you've never known. A potter who built this bell in secret, during a time when bells were forbidden. Not for politics, or for grief. Too many deaths, too many sounds of mourning. A local official banned all bell-ringing, hopping silence would stop the sorrow from spreading. It didn't. But this Potter quiet, unnoticed, shaped a bell anyway, hid it in the bones of a half-built structure, and never rang it. Because he didn't need to. The presence of the bell was enough. It reminded the village that even in silence, something could be shaped from ash and held like hope. You open your eyes. The clay bell is still cracked. That's still beautiful. You bow your head, not to honor the story, to thank the silence for letting you borrow it. And as you stand, you notice something written in small script along the platform's edge. You kneel to read it. The bell does not mourn. It listens to those who do. You leave it undisturbed. The wind lifts as you step away, catching a high pitch from one of the beams above. A faint resonance, nothing deliberate. But just enough. A farewell, perhaps. Or just the echo of a story still breathing. And as you walk, the air begins to shift. The warmth of day softens. Shadows stretch a little longer. The golden light now carries a hint of blue at the edges, like the sky is beginning to blink slowly, readying itself for evening. You pass under a torii gate, paint faded, wood cracked but proud. It doesn't lead to a shrine. Just to an open courtyard with a shallow reflecting pool at its center. And in the middle of that pool, a single bell. Floating. Suspended just inches above the water, held not by rope or frame but by silence itself. You blink. It doesn't move. But the water beneath it ripples faintly, as though remembering a recent sound. The surface reflects the sky, the trees, and you, though your reflection is slightly off, delayed by a breath. You step closer. The pool is narrow but long. A stone walkway borders its edge, and beside it, a small wooden bench. You sit. Across the pool, a woman in temple robes appears. You're not sure where she came from. She's older, ageless in the way that only mountain air and purpose can shape a face. She nods. You nod back. She sits across from you, mirroring your position. And together, you sit in the presence of the floating bell. And after a while, she speaks. Some bells are made to mark beginnings. She gestures toward the sky. Others, endings. Then she looks directly at you. But this one is different. It was made for the middle. You smile softly, not asking for elaboration. Because you understand. The middle is the hardest place to be. It's not dramatic, not noble, not climactic. It's the ordinary moment after you've begun something, but before you know where it leads. It's the silence after the door closes, but before someone speaks. The breath before confession. The pause between hurt and healing. This bell floats here for all those in-between spaces. And it rings only when someone accepts they're exactly where they are. Not ahead, not behind it, just here. You look at it. You accept. You hear it. A note so clear and so full that for a moment the water stills. Your reflection aligns. The birds pause. Even the wind seems to bow its head. Then it fades. Not abruptly. Like a feather falling through fog. The woman across from you nods again. You stand. She does not. You suspect she'll wait for the next person who needs reminding that the middle is sacred, too. As you walk away, you don't look back. But you hear just faintly the sound of the bell behind you. Not ringing it, just continuing. The path now slopes gently downward, as though the temple is guiding you slowly back toward the world. But it's in no rush, and neither are you. The trees are older here, taller. Their trunks curve slightly inward, like they've spent the last few centuries leaning into some secret joke they refuse to explain. The undergrowth is thin, soft with pine needles, and the air has that sharp, woody freshness that makes your lungs feel as though they've just rinsed themselves. You pass a small bell hanging from a tree branch. No structure, no shrine. Just a bell. Tied with string, swinging faintly in a breeze that doesn't seem to exist anywhere else. You pause beneath it. It's made from bamboo, sliced and shaped into a rough cylinder, etched lightly with calligraphy too worn to read. But you don't need to. The bell rings. Softly, only once. And you hear it more in your bones than your ears. It's not telling you anything new. Just confirming something you already knew and forgot. Like an old friend showing up at the exact moment you stopped waiting for them. You bow not with formality, but with recognitions. And then you keep walking. The path opens into a clearing, wide and quiet and full of long, flat stones arranged in slow spirals. Some are moss-covered. Others are polished smooth, as though someone has been brushing them nightly with silence. In the center, a large bronze bell. Now this one is unmistakable. It's old, monumental, the kind you expect to be in a museum or described in reverent footnotes. Except no one's here. No guide, no plaque, no story waiting in a corners. Just the bell. And a wooden mallet resting on the ground beside it. You know this bell won't chime for spectacle. It's the kind of bell that rings through you, not for you. You walk around it once slowly. Its surface is covered in symbols, not letters, not words, more like gestures. marks that feel as if they were written by wind and sealed by time. You pick up the mallet, not to strike, not to feel its weight. It's heavier than expected, not in pounds, in presence. You lift it gently. You take a breath, and then you lower it again. You don't strike the bell, because you don't need to. The sound has already begun in your chest. A hum that started the moment you entered this place and hasn't stopped. This bell doesn't wait for permission. It rings only when something inside you finally agrees with itself. You close your eyes, and in that deep, private stillness, you hear it. Not the bell's voice, your own, clear, steady, and kind. You leave the mallet where it was, and step into the center of the spiral stones. You turn once, twice, and then face the rising slope ahead. And the bell behind you stays still. Because now, so do you. The slope ahead leads to a grove unlike the others. Thinner trees, no bells, no paths, just open space and the soft sound of water somewhere near, but not close enough to find. You're alone here, truly alone, and yet the quiet doesn't feel empty. It feels held. It's as if this grove has gathered every unspoken word, every unshed tear, every unfinished prayer ever whispered in this temple, and wrapped them all into something warm and vast and breathing. You sit on the grass, not because you're tired, because this is the first place that doesn't ask you to move. You lie back, watch the sky through the trees, and then something extraordinary. No sound, but a rhythm. A pulse, not physical, not emotional, but something in between. A vibration that moves through the ground and settles into your spine. And from somewhere unseen, a bell rings. All faint, all distant, all beautiful. It doesn't disturb the air. It completes it. You don't know where it came from, but you know why. This bell wasn't for summoning. It wasn't for memory or mourning or even meditations. It was for here. This space. This moment. This you. You sit up. And for the first time you realize it's not about the bells. It never was. They were never the story. They were the punctuation. The breath between chapters. The soft sigh in the dark that lets the next sentence begin. You look at your hands. They're the same, but they feel different. Like you've been holding something all this time, and only just now realized what it was. You stand and begin walking back, not because the journey is over, but because the echo is now carrying you. And far behind or far ahead, it no longer matters. One final bell rings. Not for you. Not because of you. But with you. Like a second heartbeat. Like a lantern in a fog. Like the soft yes beneath every silence. You keep walking, and the temple breathes with you. You walk with the bell still ringing somewhere inside you. The sound isn't fading, it's stretching, lengthening itself into the shape of a thread, a line drawn gently from every moment behind you to every moment ahead. You pass through a corridor flanked by two long pools of water. They're still, undisturbed. The surface so smooth it reflects the sky like it forgot it was a reflection. Between the pools, there's a walkway lined with hanging bells. All small, all different. Wind chimes made of ceramic, bronze, woven metal, glass spun so thin it looks like frozen breath. Each bell hangs from a red thread, below each a paper tag. Some are blank, others carry short phrases. A few are prayers. A few are jokes. One says, the tea is always too hot until you forget about it. Another, I came here on accident. I think I stayed on purpose. Each tag flutters gently, catching the movement of air stirred not by a wind but by memory. And for the first time you see it. The way silence is not empty here. It's a textured, alive. It's a kind of fabric the bells are woven into, instead of breaking through. You pause before one chime shaped like a sunflower. The tag below it says only, still waiting, still ringing. You add nothing. All because it says everything. At the end of the walkway is a low platform, a familiar style now. You could call it an altar, but that would be too loud a word. It's more like a seat for thoughts. And at the center of it, a bowl. And inside the bowl, a bell. Or rather, a half bell. A split clean down the middle. You approach, kneel beside it. Next to the bowl is a small brush and a stone jar of ink. You realize this bell was left unfinished. Unintentionally. So others could add to it. You pick up the brush. There's a space on the inside curve, worn smooth by time, waiting for a name or a wish or a thought too soft for words. You write one character. No translation. No explanation. Just what came to you. You set the brush down. And the half bell vibrates, so faintly you could dismiss it. But you don't. Because you know better now. The platform offers no instructions, no ritual, no reward. You simply sit a little longer. Until the silence feels like a conversation, not an absence. And when you leave, you don't feel like you've completed anything. You feel like you've joined something already in motion. The red threads overhead shift one last time, and a single bell rings behind you. They small, all happy, all free. The path takes you back toward the temple's entrance now. You recognize the stone lantern near the gate, the wooden water basin, the crooked pine with the branch that points east like it's trying to give directions. Only now it all feels different. Not because the place has changed, but because you've learned how to see it. The old monk who ignored you the first night stands by the gate again, still sweeping, still pretending the broom is doing all the work. But this time when you pass, he glances up. He smiles, just barely. And in monk speak, that's basically a standing ovation. You nod. He nods. And that is the entire conversation. You make your way to the main hall one last time. And inside, everything is exactly as it was. The cushions, the incense holders, the bells hanging in neat rows. But now you see the difference between a bell that wants to be heard, and a bell that just is. You sit on the floor, not to meditate, not to reflect, just to be with it all. And for a moment you imagine the temple breathing, slowly, deeply, as if it's been watching you the whole time, not guiding you but waiting. And now it seems to say you've arrived. Not at a destination, but at yourself. You stand and turn toward the entrance again. But a flicker of gold catches your eye. There, resting on a wooden stool, is a new bell. You're sure it wasn't there before. It's small, simple, polished so well it seems to hold its own light. Next to it, a folded note. You open it. The ink is delicate, as if whoever wrote it knew you'd be reading it just before leaving. It says, take this one with you, but only ring it once, and only when the world feels too loud to find yourself again. You stare at it for a moment longer. Then gently lift the bell. It fits perfectly in your palm. Weightless but not light. Like a promise you haven't needed to make yet. You tuck it into your sleeve. Go to the temple. And step outside. The gate creaks open like a soft sigh. The wind carries the sound of birds, distant laughter, and faraway chimes. The world is waiting. But this time you're ready to meet it. You cross the threshold of the temple gate and feel it immediately. The difference in air is it isn't louder, not quite. But the quiet here doesn't hold you the same way. It doesn't cradle you. It brushes past instead, like the world has remembered it has other things to do. You pause on the path outside. Just beyond the gate, the landscape rolls downward toward a narrow road. A small bridge spans a dry creek bed, and in the distance, rooftops, faintly humming with life, smoke from a chimney, a bicycle propped against a wall, a dog barking once, then losing interest. You turn back toward the temple. But from here, it almost disappears into the trees. Tiled rooftops and wooden eaves merging with branches and leaves, as if the structure is only half physical, half memory, half dream. You reach into your sleeve and touch the bell they gave you. That's still the cool. That's still. You know you won't ring it now. Well, not here. Because this isn't a goodbye. It's a remembering. You walk slowly down the path, each step brushing against the edges of the ordinary. Dirt path, birdsong, your shadow stretching long before you like it, too, doesn't want to leave. Though there's a small shrine at the base of the hill. You passed it on your way in, but it barely registered at the time, just another shape in the landscape. Now it glows. Not with light, with attentions. A weathered wooden structure, barely the size of a shed. One wall is open, revealing a stone statue whose face has been rubbed featureless by centuries of devotion and weather. A small table in front holds offerings. You kneel, not from obligation, for from habit. Because kneeling now feels like listening. You reach into your pocket and pull out something small, something meaningless to others but holy to you, a scrap of cloth, a coin, a pressed flower you forgot was there. You place it on the table. Not for luck, not for help, for witnesses. You bow. The wind lifts behind you, swirling gently through the trees. And from far, far above, just barely, you hear a bell. It's not a sound. It's an invitation. You rise and continue down the hill. And the sound of the bell doesn't fade. It travels with you. Inside your breath. Inside your silence. Inside the version of yourself that you found again. Somewhere between the first footstep and the final gate. You reach the bottom of the hill just as the light begins to lean westward. Shadows stretch out like sleepy limbs. The road here is paved with the kind of stone that remembers sandals, not shoes. You pause beside a narrow stream running parallel to the road. The water is shallow, cheerful, and entirely unconcerned with your enlightenment. It babbles over smooth stones as though it has somewhere to be. And maybe it does. But it never seems to mind being seen. Across the stream is a row of wind chimes. Not temple-made, homemade. They hang from window frames and crooked posts. Old spoons, bits of colored glass, a teacup with a cracked lip. A strip of rusted tin that taps against itself with a rhythm too uneven to be accidental. A woman leans out of one doorway to shake out a blanket. She doesn't look at you, but the chimes behind her ring. And you realize the bells have followed you here. Not literally, but in the tone. In awareness, in the space that now lives inside your listening. You continue walking. Pass a child drawing in the dirt with a stick. Pass an elderly man repairing a bicycle chain. With the patience of someone who understands time has no authority here. Everywhere there is sound. But none of it disturbs us. It weaves us. Just like the bells did. You step into a small shop to buy tea. The old woman behind the counter hands you a cup without asking a single question. You sip. It's exactly the right temperature. No explanation. Just perfect. You sit on the bench outside and sip slowly, watching the road. For the first time in what might be years, you are not waiting for anything. Not for the next chapter. Not for the next task. Not even for the bell to ring again. Because you hear it now, even in silence. Even in breaths. You reach for the bell in your sleeve just to hold it. And it hums faintly in your palm. It doesn't ring. It doesn't need to. It remembers. And so do you. The cart rattles by, and a dog chases a leaf with total conviction. You smile. Because everything feels real again. But not heavy. And when you stand to keep walking, the world doesn't pull at you. It steps aside. And you return not from the temple, but from forgetting. You carry no relics. Only the sound of a bell that never needed to be heard to be known. The road bends and you follow it. Not because there's anywhere you need to be, but because you want to see where it stops pretending to be a road and starts being something quieter, like a memory, or a lullaby someone forgot to finish. You pass a low wall made of stacked stones, each one worn smooth by generations of weather and sheepish touch. There's moss in the cracks and little purple flowers blooming like shy thoughts. On the far side of the wall is a field, empty, or at least pretending to be. The grass sways with a kind of knowing grace, like it's humming a song too slow for your ears. And in the center of that field is a small wooden structure, barely a roof, 4 beams, no walls. It's not a shrine, not a shelter. It's a pause. You cross the field slowly. The grass gives way without complaint. There's a narrow footpath carved into it, not paved, not maintained, just the faint trace of other feet that passed through gently. As you reach the structure, you notice what's inside. The bells. This one's different. They're not hung, not perched. All planted. All half buried in the earth. Its rim just above the soil line, its crown hidden beneath. The top has been grown over with moss, as if the field itself is learning to forget it. While you kneel beside it, place your hand on the metal. It's cool, but familiar. The bell doesn't vibrate. Oh, but the ground does. So softly. This is the kind of vibration you only feel if you're quiet for a long time. All you said. No ritual, no chant. While you just let yourself be here. And after